Welcome to Tuesday, the 29th day of October, 2024. This Day Weather Podcast is being brought to you by Converse County Tourism. Douglas and Glen Rock, Wyoming are bustling with action this holiday season. Plan your excursion, including fun activities, beautiful downtowns, and historic treasures. Learn more at conversecountytourism.com. Well, a touch of winter is coming for many of you, especially across parts of Wyoming, the high elevations of Utah and Colorado. As usual, with any system that comes through this part of the country, results will vary depending on where you are. But we'll try to hit the highlights. You can see, as you can see in a lot of the photos I'm showing you, clouds coming in layers, thickening up a little bit as that deeper Pacific moisture finally is reaching the western United States. As we mentioned yesterday, the alignment of where the cold front will be, the deeper moisture will be, and the strong jet stream winds aloft to help add lift to the atmosphere is going to dictate who gets the most. And from where we were at this time yesterday, there really hasn't been much of a change. That southwest to northeast axis of the heavier moisture is in about the same position we showed you yesterday. There definitely will be travel impacts. The higher elevations of Interstate 80 across southern Wyoming, all of the mountain passes of Wyoming, Colorado, and Utah, and eastern Idaho are all going to be impacted with winter driving conditions. It's cold enough of a system that the lower elevations will see the first significant snow of the season. It does look like by the time we get to Halloween, the system will be gone. It looks dry, but it's going to be cold. We'll have a very chilly, very cold Halloween morning. Halloween doesn't look bad. It just looks colder than it has been over the last couple of Halloweens. Now, the pattern is going to stay active, but the confidence in details is super low. All we can tell you is that we are going to see other systems come in later in the weekend, late in the weekend, into next week. But whether or not they become major or minor is hard to tell, other than to tell you this: it's going to be colder. It's going to be a lot more like, well, as you think it should, as we head into November. Certainly a different scenario with the overall weather pattern. But we're still getting beautiful views like this up in Converse County, Wyoming, along the Esterbrook Road. That's always a beautiful drive, a great place to go to in the fall, and a great shot there. Then there are those thickening and increasing clouds coming in from the deepening moisture, coming in from the Pacific Northwest and off the West Coast. Now here's quite a photo for you. That is quite the cloud. Thanks, Leslie, for sending that in. Now, I asked Jan Curtis, the guy you see all these great photos from. He's also a cloud expert, along with a guru in astrophotography, as you all know. He suggests this is either an altocumulus lenticularis with virga or a stratocumulus with virga. This is an unusual cloud. You don't get to see that very often. Thanks for sending that on in. The satellite image this morning is showing that axis that we talked about yesterday, southwest to northeast. And notice the growing clouds right here. They're getting a little bit more of a white, more texture to them. Moisture coming on in. The blue you're seeing is the colder air coming in at the lower levels. So everything lining on up to put this together. Here's the radar image this morning. Now keep in mind, there are gaps on the other side of the mountain ranges where we don't have good radar coverage. But you can see the alignment of the precipitation is all going like this, and that's how it's going to go through the course of the next 24 to 36 hours. We have a whole host of winter weather advisories for a good chunk of Wyoming into the Black Hills of South Dakota. Wherever you see the pink, the winter storm conditions are going to be the most intense, whether it's the Owl Creek Mountains, the Wind River Mountains, the Northern Bighorns, the Casper, Douglas, Gillette areas. Now, notice we talked about this yesterday. On the edges, you're not going to have as much on the northwest corner and the southeast areas of the state because of the axis of the deeper moisture is going just like this. But you're still going to get impacts just about everywhere. But where you see the purple and the pink, be ready for winter driving conditions and winter storm conditions in many areas. Colorado's mountains as well, Utah's mountains as well, under a whole host of winter weather conditions. This is where we are as of 6 o'clock this morning. The upper level low settling into west central areas of Utah. The winds aloft here coming in from the southwest, bringing in that moisture. Winds on the surface are coming in from the north-northwest, bringing in that colder air. This is where we're going to be by tomorrow morning at about the same time. So it's not a quick mover. It's going to keep that cold, moist axis of air overhead, but the stronger winds aloft by this time tomorrow morning are going to be more up there. So the heavier precipitation, the mechanism to help drive the heavier moisture, will have moved away. But as you can see, we've got other systems up behind it, and we're having this persistent ridge now wanting to be in the eastern Pacific, which is key. This is the next 60 hours of precipitation. You can see that axis right there. So you get on either side of these black lines here, you're not going to get much precipitation. But the funneling of moisture is going right on through. Notice there's this heaviest axis right here, and this is where the winter storm conditions will be the most intense. So if you're along that line, either side of it is where you're going to see the heaviest snowfall. You can see a lot of yellow in the mountain ranges, the Laramie Range, Casper Mountain area. Look at the Black Hills. Northeastern Wyoming really needs that moisture. They're going to get it. Southwestern Wyoming as well. The northern Bighorn Mountains over the Elk Fire are going to get another nice snow dump. And this part of Colorado, so far this fall, has had a couple of really big snow events. Is going to get another one when you take a look at the snowfall potential here between now and Halloween morning. Temperature-wise, by Halloween time, trick-or-treat time, for kids out trick-or-treating, these are looking at the temperatures around 6 p.m. Mountain Time on Halloween. So chilly. I mean, we've certainly seen colder Halloweens, but it is going to be a bit brisk out there compared to where we've been lately. As we get into the weekend, that next low starts to slide south along the Pacific coast. Now, this will be a little bit of an interesting pattern. This system wants to go all the way down here. As it does so, it's likely going to bring rain to California. So California is going to have some chances for precipitation, including the Sierras. And this high wants to be there. So as long as that high is going on to be there, systems that'll be in the North Pacific, Alaska, Gulf of Alaska are going to want to come into the western United States. It's just what form and fashion are they going to come in from up there? Where are they going to track and how are they going to hold together? So that's by Saturday morning. Look at that. By Sunday morning, it's all the way down into Southern California, really taking a dip as that high wants to build. So we have a very highly amplified flow. As we've told you in previous podcasts, when you get a high in the southeast U.S., a high in the eastern Pacific, you're going to focus the weather, the action in the west and central United States. So there's going to be weather coming through, but the devil is going to be in the details. So as the system really takes a track down south, that'll keep most of the moisture along the west coast and in the desert southwest. But what'll happen is these next systems, this little wave right here, will come on down, amplify a bit, and as we go out further, this is Sunday morning, by Tuesday morning, the next system dives out of the northwest, and that low in Southern California wants to come up and then make a merger between the two. Notice the highs are there, the highs are there. So the placement of everything is right to keep the weather in the west active. By the following Wednesday, those two systems come together. Notice the highs are still there. They're not moving. So there's going to be colder weather. There's going to be some areas of rain and snow, but little bit, lots, medium, don't know yet. But it's going to certainly be colder. Look at these temperature anomalies by the middle of next week with that pattern. Quite cold across the central and western half of the United States, both sides of the Continental Divide. So November certainly going to be off to a much different start than October was in late September. Have yourself a good Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.